5 minutes.
All right, it's 8:30. Good morning, everybody. If you're on Zoom, please mute your microphone. And another Monday rainy day. We have minutes from the 13th of May. So, oh, thank you. Sorry, it is Monday. I'm gonna start out with public comments and we'll wait for minutes. Do we have any public comments on Zoom? If so, please identify yourself with your real name. Do we have any public comments in the room? Any public comments? No?
I have something that I wanted to raise that isn't on the agenda. Is that possible? Because there wasn't time to actually put that in there. This is Cheryl Shanebaum.
Cheryl who?
Cheryl Shanebaum.
Can you spell your last name, please?
SCHOEN, B as in boy, AUM.
Okay,
I'm a property owner out on Kale.
okay.
And there was two items that we wanted to address. We have the Low Water Creek crossing for Cedar Creek down here that people have decided that is a fishing dock, and children were in the creek crossing this weekend. It's gotten worse from last year. I don't know if there's anything that can be done about that other than calling the police, but they've got more things to do. Sheriff does. I don't even know where to even begin with that, but literally people not moving. And if you're coming across there and kids are running across the creek, that concrete section, it's a hazard and somebody's going to end up getting hurt, and the tractors, they can't see those kids.
Okay. Thank you. We do have the engineer and the sheriff's office is on, so it's not an agenda item, but we appreciate your comment.
Yeah, I just didn't have there was no way to put it in on Thursday because this was over the weekend and there was a lot of people down there this weekend. So and then I wanted to possibly ask is was there a schedule somewhere that as far as the weed management in the ditches along our road when that happens?
Do you want to give us an address and we can have we can have some follow up on it?
Sure. I'm at 2346 Kale. It's the whole entire length of Kale with extensive amounts of rain.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Anything else?
No, ma'am.
Any other public comments?
Yeah.
Please mute yourself.
I want to close out of here.
Sam.
Of course, I have an iPhone, so I'm trying to still figure it out.
Okay, please.
There we go.
All right, thank you. Any other public comments? All right. Hearing none, we will move on. We have minutes from May 13th.
Motion to approve May 13th minutes. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Meet with Dave Taft regarding building maintenance.
Okay,
Did you bring your list?
yeah, it's kind of a list. We've got, our mini split systems here. We started putting them in about 10 years ago. The equipment that was used at the time was Fujitsu. And Fujitsu is problematic as far as getting parts and pieces right now. In the past, every time we've had a system go down, we've called the contractor in, the contractor comes out, and what the contractor was doing between Happy Land and Jagan, what they were doing is they were coming out, putting stop leak in the systems. And the stop leak has kind of clogged them up. We're moving to get rid of that stuff. So part of what I'm doing is trying to put all the mechanicals on a twice a year preventive maintenance
Okay, good.
with the contractors. So that includes this building, the county attorney's office, and also DHS. And at the same time, we're going through the systems right now, trying to identify the problems. We're trying to identify the age of the equipment. We're trying to track how frequently we're having problems with the equipment so we can start seeing where the priorities are as far as replacement.
Good.
Because right now, we don't have any idea whatsoever. What's happened around here is that over the years, because the renovation has gone on for a number of years,
Right.
Especially on the first floor, a lot of these offices were tied into existing power. And sometimes, anytime something was added to it, the wrong kind of equipment was added to the existing power. The 4 breaker panels that we've got in the basement that are pretty much dedicated to the first floor, which is ridiculous. Probably each panel by itself is got maybe 7 or 8, like the auditor's office. There's a panel down there with about 8 circuits that go to the auditor's office. So we've got circuits that exist that don't go, that aren't feeding anything anymore. And every time something goes down around here in these older panels, because the electricians were never identified. Every breaker panel has what's called a panel schedule. The panel schedule tells you what breaker goes to what office, in what room, and what piece of equipment. None of the panel schedules in for the breaker panels identify what equipment it goes to, and so we don't know. Every time something goes down, we can't find a breaker, we have to call an electrician in. Electricians cost us at least $100 an hour. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to get all the panel schedules identified, come up with some new panel schedules. It's probably gonna take 2 men, about a day and a half, something like that, at around $100 an hour. But at the same time, what we can do when we get the updated panel schedules is we can put a book together. We can make it available to like transportation, the auditor's office, the recorder's office, and so on and so forth. So that if they ever have something go down, they know where the panel's located, which breaker is dedicated to the equipment. And we can avoid having to bring in an outside contractor because something's down. And it also makes it easier for the contractor because they're not coming in here and having to, circuit test everything and then trace everything back to an individual panel. And so it simplifies things. So again, it's another part about spending money. Recently in the passport office, they had a problem down there with a printer, and it ended up frying one of their cameras down there, and they turned in a $750 claim into the insurance company. The reason that everything went down there, we were having so much trouble with those circuits, is the sump pump on the east side of the building was tied into the system. It should have been on a dedicated circuit. So that's kind of some of the stuff we've got. We just replaced the one on the east side of the building. The one on the west side of the building was installed at the same time, so it's just around the corner going out by itself. So preventive maintenance says I've got sumps that are well over 10 years old. Let's replace it. So part of it is I know it's always a budget problem around here.
Think if we can,
But if we can identify the problems overall, then you can start building money into your budget to take care of the problems. And we can get ahead of this stuff instead of playing catch up all the time and bringing contractors in, which costs a lot of money.
right, because it's probably gonna cost more that way.
Yeah,
Could you come up with, and I know you've got copies of this latest,
I've got those, and those are really handy. Those are bills because I'm having a new contractor go through our systems, our mini split systems, and identify the problems. But at the same time, he's also listing the problems that we've got, and we can also track the individual unit instead of everything has to go through me. Right now, the mini splits over in transportation don't go through me. So I can't track what's going on over there.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm understanding this correctly. So is this the same thing as you just talked about before with bringing the contractors in and the circuits?
Yeah,
Or is it,
right now, that's about mini splits. We're just trying to,
Right.
we're trying to get all the mini splits working correctly. And then we're tracking how often they go down or there's a problem.
but part of that is related to the circuit issue.
That's not related to the circuit issue because all of the mini splits are all on dedicated circuits,
Okay.
so that's not an issue. It's just all this miscellaneous crap around here that we can't identify because the panel schedules haven't been updated.
Okay, we should have some money left in our building maintenance budget. So could you, between now and a week from Tuesday, which will be our next meeting, come up with a,
It's gonna take longer than that to work through the systems because right now,
well, I just want a pricing to make sure we could get some kind of what you think this is gonna cost.
I can guess at some of this stuff, which is about all I can do right
Right.
now. We know that that the let's see, there's 4 mini splits there that are in the treasurer's office and the recorder's office, and then also in the computer room downstairs. There's two compressors and there's 4 heads. We know that those are the oldest ones, and they seem to be the ones that were kind of problematic. But then we were having problems with this one, the assessor's office, and also down in the kitchen downstairs. And we think we fixed that problem because we had a leak in one of the lines, so the stop leak wasn't taken care of. So we backed all the stop leaks out of the system, and then we identified where the leak was. And we were able to, I think he said he pumped nitrogen into the line, so we pumped the nitrogen in first to find the leak, and then once the leak was repaired, then we put the Freon in the lines.
So we've got. Well, the 1,600, I think we're gonna take out of the line item for the DHS building. Removal of stuff, but we've got somewhere between 50 and 60,000 building line item remaining for this fiscal year. And then the new fiscal year we'll have, we reduced it. We used to carry about 95 in there, but we dropped that down this time, I think, didn't we?
You said you're taking the 1,600 out of DHS, I don't mean to,
Out of our buildings line item.
okay, all right,
Okay,
I
okay,
think for the current year,
Yeah.
we still have.
all right, I understand that.
in this next fiscal.
Yeah, no, I think next year is when you.
Yeah, I think we cut it, it might have been 65 or something, but there's 60+ thousand going into the next fiscal year too. In the buildings line item.
So we've got basically a month. Well,
Okay,
and it would be before that because the bills always need to be paid before the end of June, so. I guess the thing would be to do. What you can reasonably accomplish and pay for within that time frame, and work with Shannon maybe, because she understands. The money part.
I'll see what I can put together. But like over at DHS, we've got a furnace and it's got a compressor hooked to it for the AC. It's an old system. You can't get parts for it anymore. And when it goes down, it goes down. And then,
Well, and I think we just put a furnace in Pathfinders within the last, 3 years, 2 years?
yeah, but there's 4 furnaces over there.
Right.
So 3 of the furnaces have been replaced, one is not.
Okay.
And that's what, that's why when they come into the building, they're gonna identify, they're gonna make sure the stuff is working. First of all, we always do it, I do it spring and fall, so we get ready for the heat season, we get ready for the cold season. And because we've been doing some PM work, we've actually been identifying problems in advance and fixing the problems before they turn into a catastrophic problem. So
So I got a question on the DHS, and I don't know the answer to this. Rather than replace that furnace, is there any way that we can tie the existing ductwork in that furnace into some of the ductwork on the newer furnaces?
No, because the whole building's set up like, it's almost modular, so
Okay.
it doesn't work out.
Okay,
The cost in even attempting that, and the units were also designed to take care of a given area.
Right.
100,000 cubic foot or whatever the hell,
right,
whatever it may be.
got it.
So what I've been doing over the last several years is trying to get all the mechanicals at 100%.
Right,
I was talking with somebody the other day and they told me that finding any kind of help is almost impossible anymore. And so it's my thought, if I get the mechanicals at 100%, I'm going to work here probably for another year, maybe a little bit longer, and I hope to have everything at 100% by that time. So maybe in the future, instead of hiring somebody like me, who may not be available, you can go a different route with it. So you could do an indoor cleaning, you go outside with a contractor, and then you can put all this stuff on a work order. Load it in the computer, the work order could go to me. I could come in as a part-time employee and take care of any of your work order stuff. Because one of the things that happens around here, I'm able to do this and a lot of people aren't, but in the wintertime, I can find work for myself, things that need to be done. Somebody else might not be able to do that. So what you end up doing, if it's not snowing outside, you're spending about 5 or 6 hours a day, you're paying to have somebody sit and do nothing. So at least you have an option if you couldn't replace me.
well, that'll give us something to start thinking about, and we appreciate the heads up.
And I know we've talked about it in the past, and I just want to bring it up one more time. That system that's out there, which will take care of the moisture in the building,
Yeah, that's the other,
because
so,
that is probably priority one.
good,
And I think we all know we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of $30,000 for that. But that's something that's actually doing damage to the building.
so,
Where where all the voting stuff is stored, it's right below this vault, right here. And that's a moisture problem. Sooner or later, it's gonna turn into a moisture problem for your voting stuff.
do you still have the contact information?
Yes, I do.
Okay, maybe that's something we could put on the agenda for the 28th,
Yeah,
whatever.
if we use the funds that are currently in this
Yeah.
fiscal year's budget, if we can get them under contract for that amount, I'm not comfortable paying until it's done, but I don't know how soon they can come in and do it.
I don't either. I can contact him and I can request an estimate from him. And then, then you'd be looking at some numbers, so.
Do you know anybody else that does that too?
No, I think it's kind of
It's unique
a priority. I can't say the word right,
Yeah,
but I think it's a technology that just that company is offering.
Proprietary.
proprietary.
Yeah.
I know, he came and
Yeah.
talked. Why don't you do this between now and a week from Tuesday? Come up with a tangible number, talk to him this week. Maybe we can act on it then
Okay,
and see what the timeline is.
okay.
I'd like to know too, what kind of warranty / guarantee there is on.
I think what he's gonna do is he's gonna offer you a list of people, satisfied customers. I think the technology was put in the courthouse in Washington. And that's the only one that I can think of that I was familiar with. He ran off a list of them. But basically, it's stopping that moisture from wicking up in the building. And on the west side of the building, it's wicking up in that stairway, almost 2.5 floors up.
Okay.
So,
Yeah, see if you can come up with something tangible for us to have done.
okay.
What else is on your list?
Not much, it's just that, when we start replacing mini split, we wanna pick a particular supplier or manufacturer. So that all the systems we've got are all going to be the same.
So when you can, why don't you start working on a proposal for that? So we can look at that.
Okay.
Speaking of that,
Well,
we have this stack of invoices that you took a copy of last week.
yeah,
Have you had a chance to look at them and they all legit?
yes, they are all legit. One of the invoices you've got in there is for that sump pump replacement, and that was just over $700. But, there could also be a invoice coming in from Livewire because they ended up replacing the circuit. But that sump pump is something that I would like to get put on a dedicated circuit. And if we find that the one on the west side of the building is not on a dedicated circuit, I'd like to do that too.
Okay.
But it's easier to do into one of the boxes on the other side of the building if we find that we've got circuits that aren't being used. You know, then we can put it on dedicated circuit with.
Yeah, these are, and I just did some quick math and used the round numbers. I didn't go to the penny. It's about $4,400, but, yeah.
So just real quickly, is the county attorney's office experiencing any of this wicked issue? Do we need to,
No,
okay.
not that I'm aware of.
Let's see, why don't you give us an update? I know you and I talked a while back about the Freedom Rock maintenance.
Oh, I would just like, I think that when. Lyle, I don't know Lyle's last name and I think he passed on, Lyle was the one that kind of put the whole thing together and I was kind of out of the loop of the whole thing. I just think that, that the work that was done as far as the landscaping around there was half-assed, which wasn't done very well. And, you know, there's some more dirt that has to be brought in. There has to be some grass planted around there. Oh, you know, somebody needs to recondition the whole area around the Freedom Rock out there. And I really think that that should fall back on the people that were responsible for putting it in there. You know, we provided the space for them to do it, and you said, yeah, go ahead and do it. Pretty hard not to, but
Sounds like we should meet with that group and figure out who's doing
yeah,
the
because,
follow-up.
yeah,
Were you involved in that, Terry? No, I didn't think so, but since you're here. Yeah, but who's the contact for that now? Someone,
Don't know.
otherwise it's probably gonna become warehouse responsibility.
Ray might know it right here.
I don't know.
Or Chambers might know.
Good idea. Okay, and then,
Which ways?
Maple Street, basement, just so we can all be, hear the same thing at the same time.
I have to get back with Bob,
Okay,
today or in the next, or today or tomorrow.
have them do that.
Yeah, because they agreed to do the work, but I just.
Are they taking the staff?
They're
Yeah.
pulling it somewhere, nobody wants it.
They're gonna take the stuff. My thought is there's a lot of very good, file cabinets down there. And rather than get rid of all of them, we'll pick them and just take one of the rooms over there and put the better ones in there and sit on them.
I'm curious whether or not Bob would be willing to move that stuff out of the old assessor's office to the DHS building.
Can you ask him that?
Out of the old assessor office.
Downstairs, all those files downstairs you've been wanting to get rid of?
Oh,
Ask him if we'd be willing to move those over to,
And I spoke with
DHS.
Jennifer quite some time ago, and she said as long as it was under lock and key, which it would be, and that they have access, they'd be okay with moving.
okay, well, The one thing we have to do is we have to add a short piece of wall and a door down there. Because right now on the, well, I don't know what end it is, cause I get turned around and get down there, but on the one end, it's got the central hallway that walks in
Right,
from the DHS side.
east end,
We have to put a door in there.
okay. So two parts. One's the immediate, clean out the basement, and then part two would be that to store, fix up a room and move the files from downstairs.
I think all that work I would be able to do.
Okay,
Building the wall, putting the door in, getting the stuff out of there, repair upstairs.
Yep.
And then we'll see if he's interested. in
and
the
that'd
other-
be something, if he could do that before the end of the fiscal year, it'd be helpful.
You mean complete the work?
He may not be able to do the files, but he could
Yeah.
at least do that first part. And then we were talking last week about the roof. So where are we on that? Are they gonna repair that too?
The roof is repaired. The only thing we have to repair is the ceiling in that office.
Great.
Yeah. That's something that he agreed to do.
Okay. All right, just wanted to make sure we all hear the same thing at the same time.
Okay. I'll see if I can come up with some time and some money and all that stuff for you.
Just keep us in the loop.
It's the best I can.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
What else is on your list?
Hmm. Hold on.
Hey, hang on, Ray. Freedom. Dave, hang on a minute. We're gonna talk Freedom Rock.
Okay.
Who's in charge of the Freedom Rock? Because Dave was suggesting there's still some more landscaping that needs to be done.
Okay, well, I think the
Hey, Dave.
committee has handed it out to the board of supervisors, I believe. It's basically the building.
Okay, that's what we need to know, because we, okay,
Yeah, I don't have any funds to do anything with.
okay, so they basically got it up and running.
Yep.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Dave.
Okay.
Thank you, Ray.
Okay.
All right, any other comments related to all of that? All right. Meet with county engineer. Good morning,
Still
Dwayne.
don't have blue jeans on.
We have,
No, sir.
we have 3 minutes until a public hearing, so.
Okay, well, I don't have a whole lot. It's wet. And we've got some mowing to do, but it can't be done when it's wet. We've got rock to put on that,
Can't be done when it's wet.
well, some of it can if it's really bad. That's kind of the bad thing about it is you don't want to have to put rock into mud, but sometimes you have to do that just to make the roads passable. And we had somebody call on Redwood south of East Pleasant Plain that required quite a bit of rock, but it was bad. That I'm glad that we're getting the rain to get us out of the drought, but good gosh, it's a pain in the rear.
Okay.
And then on top of the rock we had to put on after the snowfall. Been a challenge, that's to try and work the budget numbers around to make that fit. I don't know, I don't remember if you guys were in on the loop, but we got denied FEMA money for the snow event. I contacted the state Homeland Security Emergency Management Office, and they are going to appeal that ruling. And I had some discussions with that gentleman about not only is it the 2 days, the 48-hour window that they allowed us to track time and, labor and equipment, which amounted to $150,000, which is pretty close to what we spend on labor for the whole snow plow season. But also the increased amount of rock that has to go on the roads because it thawed out so quickly. So we have a lot of damage control, just keep the roads passable from the mud. I
Good job.
don't know if it'll do any good, but I'll
Right.
try and provide them with as much ammunition and arguments that we can.
So I assume you heard the public comment? Okay,
Yeah, as a general rule, we do the weed control later in the summer
Mhm.
after it's dry, so you don't have to worry about it. The spray washing off, and also the heat helps.
sounds like you're talking about that low water crossing.
You know, I don't know if we can put some do not swim signs.
Yeah, I believe.
I don't know.
Or, you know, if the sheriff can patrol through the days. She has called me about people parking there and blocking it in the past.
Excuse me, it's 9 o'clock.
I'll shut up.
You can stay. All right. We have public hearing on vacating an alley in Limby. So do we have a motion to open the public
So
hearing?
moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye. Do we have any public comments related to vacating an alley in Limby? Anybody on Zoom? Anybody in the room? All right, do we have any comments? Hearing none. We need a motion. Close the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor to close the public hearing? Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Discuss and consider resolution vacating an alley in Limby, which is number 7 in our packet. Resolution vacating alley within the plat of Limby in Jefferson County and conveying said alley to adjoining property owner. Whereas a request has been made from Jefferson County asking that an alley in Limby be vacated. Said alley is located in the section of the platted alley south of Gamble Street of the Limby plat in the Polk Township, section 5, located in block 7, Dudgeon and Gamble's addition, running north-south between lots 8 and 7 on the west and lots 1 and 2 on the east. Whereas Jefferson County has determined that the section of platted alley located in the requested portion of the Limby plat is of no benefit to the public, as the said plat has never been developed as a town and has been recorded since 1903. And whereas Jefferson County understands the portion of this platted alley has not been used for that purpose and has been grown over. And whereas Jefferson County believes the property will be better cared for and put to better use if it were owned by the adjacent property owner, now therefore be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County, Iowa, that the board officially vacates the following portion of the platted alley in the Limby plat located in Polk Township, section 5, as allowed by the Iowa Code section 354.23. That section of the platted alley south of Gamble Street of the Limby plat in Polk Township, section 5, located in block 7, Dudgeon and Gamble's addition, running north-south between lots 8 and 7 on the west and lots 1 and 2 on the east. Be it also resolved that Jefferson County hereby conveys ownership of this portion of the vacated alley to Andrew J. Holman. All right,
Motion to approve.
Second.
we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All righty, thank you. Do you have another one of these? Gonna take a minute here and get caught up on our paperwork. Okay, Blaine. Back to you. Anything else for us?
No, we're still on hold on the patch project, as Norris doesn't have access to their crew that's doing the patch work, doesn't have access to that piece of equipment. Most likely it will be into June before they get back onto Salina Road. Other than that, we're fixing some pipes as we need to and putting rock on the road when we can.
Very good. Anything else we're doing? Nope. Okay, number 2 on our agenda, discuss and consider snow removal invoice. So. Is this? You want to enlighten us on this?
Last fall, we had a discussion about use of, allowable uses of road use tax dollars that we receive or anything out of the county secondary road fund. Plowing commercial parking lots is not one of those approved uses. That time, I think you guys asked us to be, if we would be able to do that and then bill you. We waited until we were sure that all of the snow was done and compiled our time and equipment and sent out bills.
This doesn't have a total on it. Unless I know you're on, do you have a balance on this, the total amount?
Oh, 231880. She did, you know, on the sheet first, she gave me,
Oh.
page two.
We don't have that sheet, we just have this one. Unless it's sniffing in here. Oh,
I will give you the copy that she printed out this morning.
thank you. Appreciate it. 231880. Can you see that? All right. All right. So is this a supervisor expense? Is it each department?
Well, I think you can take it out of the buildings, but I question. I would not define our parking lots as commercial. I mean, he's right as far as what the code says, but I just wouldn't define our parking lots as commercial.
Hmm.
Is my whole point.
I wouldn't take it out of the building. I would take it out of the individual departments because it's been done in the past. So they found
Actually, it hasn't
invoices.
been, that's the point.
Well, it says here I found invoices from the
Right.
past for the law center and DHS.
Right.
So I guess I'm assuming they
Yeah,
would still do that.
and in all the years that I've here, road department's never charged to remove snow from any of our county-owned properties.
Then where did this come from? I found invoices from the past.
Don't know. Because we never reviewed them as a board.
I don't think all of the invoices have been paid.
Okay, okay. I was going on, whoops, on
Yeah.
the sheet.
Is that something we can have our attorneys look into?
I mean, well,
I
I
know
know
you-
where you can take the funds out of. I mean, they
No.
definitely can't come out of roads. We went over this when it came up the first
Yeah,
time, I know. So in terms of, you can't use secondary roads funds for snow removal here in the parking lot, but in terms of where you can take the funds out of, like I said,
Right.
that would like.
We can do that out of our budget, but I just want to make sure Lee's question is answered as far as, because I know we have had past discussions. But today his question was, is it considered a commercial?
How do you define commercial?
It's not a road.
Does it matter?
According to him, it said you can't do commercial parking.
I can't do parking lots. Like, if it's not a road, I can't do it.
Right, I
Or if
don't
it's-
know that it's limited to commercial or non-commercial, it's not defined that way in the code, that's what I can
Okay.
see. But I can look up the answer to your question, I just don't know that it will answer whether or not. the
But
roads department-
But it sounds like whether it's commercial is not,
No, it's,
Relevant to
I
this.
use commercial as my term.
yeah,
The state limits us to maintenance of road department properties.
and so because parking lots are not considered roads,
The,
that's, yeah,
the courthouse is not a road department asset. The
right,
grader sheds, the maintenance shop, the office, those are part of the road department. The sheriff's office, the health department, the ambulance service, those are not.
right, right. Now, it's good for us to have a refresher again, because I know we've talked about this several times. All right, so do we have a motion to approve this?
Well, I think we have to have a discussion with Susie raising points, we have to have a discussion as to what is the board's preference as to where this is funded out of.
Right.
And I think that the buildings are our responsibility.
That has been recent past practice.
So then we would pay for we would pay for the mowing of all the facilities. Same thing, whether you're mowing or shoveling snow.
Well, we're paying for the mowing at the,
Ambulance,
like,
are we paying it at the roads department? Are we paying
well, they can do their own.
DHS?
He just said they can do their own.
We do our own mowing.
Thank you for that.
So I'm just,
Yeah, I just want to be consistent.
I mean, because we've not asked these other departments to budget for that, number one. Number two, we actually have a buildings line item.
Right.
I'm aware.
Yeah, well, no, I'm just saying, so.
Well, and it seems like if we're gonna roll mowing into this in the future, we need to like bid mowing as a whole.
Well, and I
County,
think,
not
I think
building
as
by
far as, for
building.
example, the mowing at the ambulance, which is a topic for another day, and I get that. But I think that, and Susie's expressed this too, something we need to take a serious look at out there,
Mhm.
because
You know,
I
I think
think
we'd
we
like
can
to
do
do it.
better there.
Yeah, we need to do it sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah, because it will stop raining at some point, Joseph, so. Yeah, no, not a problem.
He doesn't have an umbrella.
Okay.
You wanna put it on the agenda for another day and have that discussion? And it seems like the other discussion to go with that would be if we're gonna do mowing out of our line item, should we combine all the mowing and bid it out? Does that
Well,
make sense?
I guess the question would be, we would send out an email, Shannon, to the departments and how they've handled it in the past, because we haven't handled it.
Right. You know what? We have a department head on Wednesday. We
Yeah,
can talk
which
about
I won't make. I've got a meeting, so does Joe at 11 o'clock, and then I've got doctor's appointments afterwards. We're meeting with. Oh, there she is. I saw you come in.
Sorry, chamber talk.
Anyway,
So add that to our list for.
in regards to what's on the agenda here today. Just determine how the board wants to fund it.
So as far as what's on the agenda today, which is discuss and consider snow removal invoice, and to add to that in the amount of $2,318.80. Do we have a motion to approve that?
I would make a motion to pay the invoice out of the buildings fund and at a future date, place on the agenda to discuss and consider how to fund it in the future.
Mhm.
In the future, it may not be 2 feet of snow you're removing.
I'll second your motion. Do we have any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
Yes.
Number 3, consider division of lot 3 and block 5 Dungeon and Gamble's addition to the town of Balloonby.
So I've read this and I had a question, and it might be for Elizabeth, or it might be for Dwayne, or it might be for both of them, or it might be for Shannon. But there is no such thing as a town of Linby.
It's private town.
Okay, but who actually is getting it is what I'm asking.
The,
The adjoining landowner, it's an
Okay,
unincorporated town.
right.
refresh my memory on that, is there, is that in the middle of one person's lot? Yeah, they're, the landowner
Oh,
owns
okay, all
both
the
sides.
emails and stuff.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Mhm.
All right,
He did it.
now I'm.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve the split.
Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Alrighty. Discuss and consider reg by ordinance.
It's after 3:05.
I actually
always
believe this
confuses
needs to
me.
be amended. I think we need to set it for a public hearing.
Okay,
Um,
so our discussion should be to set a public hearing on this.
correct.
Alright. So we need how much time? 2 weeks in?
So that's a board. Yeah, I believe so, and then we can get it to the paper until the 30th, is it? That's what they said. And then that.
Because it takes a week to get it in the clearing.
Okay, that's what it is.
Let's see, so, yeah, the 30th is the earliest we can get it in the clearing.
June 10th?
I guess the issue is, and Terry and I were going back and forth about this, is the date for applications is June 1st. But I mean, I guess you guys are already building applications and it's not really dependent on our ordinance, is that correct?
Well, the only thing that would be dependent if somebody thinks that they're going to set up somewhere in that boundary without going through our organization. So obviously what we're trying to do is ensure safety of the riders throughout the whole thing. So it's a matter of making sure that everyone's getting licensed and inspected and all of those things.
And that's a legitimate concern, because I had some calls last week.
Yeah.
From people in the county wanting to do things.
So the last time, I think the application deadline was the June 14th, which is what we had in our previous ordinance, but this year it's the 1st. So. Go down.
Is there a way the application can read something like in accordance to the county ordinance, or does it read that?
It does not read that, but we could. I know that we have applications, the deadline on June 1st, but then we are not approving anything until around the 15th. So we could adjust some deadlines possibly.
So as far as a public hearing, the 3rd would be too soon, correct?
You could do it the third, but you also have on your agenda to
Right,
consider not
right,
having a
right.
meeting on the.
Oh,
third.
that's
Correct.
right.
Yeah. So,
So we could do it the 10th. Or we could have a meeting,
special.
a special meeting like 6th, 7th, or 8th.
Just to have a public hearing.
Well, you'll probably. Yeah,
So do you have to have the 3 readings? Can you
You
pass
could
it?
suspend the rules and you could just pass it. The first, you know, you have the public hearing and suspend the rules and then we
Isn't that what
pass
the
it.
city did?
That is what the city did, yeah, we just passed ours. I mean, and this was ready to go a few weeks ago, but due to, I guess, some confusion, they aren't considering it until now, so.
Okay, so, what we need is a motion. I'll make a motion. We have the public hearing on June 10th.
Second,
at what time?
At 9 o'clock.
And hearing for adjust, I mean, maybe we can adjust the.
Do we have any discussion?
I don't know, it's up to you.
Yeah,
It's-
some of it is we also have, we have state requirements that we have to deal with, and this has to be submitted to them also, so.
Is June 10th okay, or do we need to have it a few days before?
Well, they wanted it like yesterday, so they wanted everything. We're not ready for that, so they know that. Yeah, we'll do some investigating on those dates and see what we can.
Otherwise, we could have our hearing like on the 7th or something. Would that help? It's only gonna be a couple days.
It might help just from the standpoint that our committee's gonna start approving vendors, and so that's sort of.
Okay, get your calendars out. Let's see. Okay, I'm gonna withdraw my motion. Are you okay with that, Susie?
yeah, what's wrong with June 5th or
Six.
6th or 7th?
Yeah. That's one. Let's look at our calendars. It's gonna be-
Because it sounds like Terry would like some more time to be able to get this done.
All right, how about June 5th at what time you want? 9 o'clock? I'm gonna change my motion to have a public hearing on June 5th at 9 AM.
Second,
Any discussion?
Well, when are we gonna discuss the ordinance itself? I mean, I'm not, I
Wait a
guess,
minute.
well,
Can we even motion to do a public hearing, because that's not on our agenda?
Oh. Yeah, I was asking for an amendment to that, but I suppose you already took amendments previously, the beginning.
So we can discuss the ordinance itself today. It sounds like what we need to do is have another meeting to set the public hearing, correct? Since that's
all
not on
eyes
our
are on you,
agenda.
Elizabeth.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I suppose so. I was hoping we could have, yeah.
All right,
Yes, if
we wanna do
unless
this
we're gonna
right.
amend the agenda item.
So today is Monday. Could we do that meeting on Wednesday at 2? It'll just be a short one. That'd be on the 22nd, we have a meeting to set the date and time for a public hearing on the reg right ordinance. Would be the agenda item.
so the department head meeting's not going to last long?
Usually doesn't last more than an hour, it's at 1.
Okay,
Does that make sense? Is that okay?
Or you could do it next week even, because I wouldn't have to get it to the papers until the 30th, and, well, no. Wait, what day were you gonna set it for?
Well, I just thought Wednesday, because
The-
we'll be here, but if we can do it next week, that's fine. If you want to add it.
Oh, no, I would still need it.
Sorry, we need to get to the month, you said?
Yeah, no, Thursday.
On Thursday, oh, okay, so we have to have it for the Thursday.
Yeah.
could you
So
do
we have to do it
12:30 on Thursday, or not, excuse me, on the 22nd?
Can I ask what the ordinance is?
It's for right by.
I get that, but what is it income?
So-
What is it in?
You'd rather do it at 12:30 on Wednesday? about 12:45. It's not gonna take long if that's the only agenda item.
On
while
which,
we're
on
doing
which
this.
day?
On Wednesday.
Okay. That sounds good.
My dog has an appointment, but since it's wet, Harold can probably take it.
So does he won't be here.
All we're gonna do is set the date and time. Okay. We got that resolved. Now let's go back to what's on our agenda. As far as, let's discuss the reg right ordinance itself. So. Anybody feel like reading through this whole thing? Lee, you wanna,
I will just tell you that the only thing that has changed basically is the time that it is, its effectiveness, you know, like the effective date, because it's only gonna be
Thank you.
one day, it's not an overnight, so it's gonna sunset automatically at 12:01, I believe, on the 27th, because they're just gonna be here July 26th. And so honestly, that is the only thing that's changed, that and the date which the applications are due.
so basically, the purpose is to control safety and well-being of the public during reg right visit to Jefferson County on the 26th of July, 2024. And it goes through the food requirements, vendor requirements, and that brings up a question that I was asked. If somebody's in the county, are they required to have a porta potty if they have some kind of a stand? I said I didn't know. Last time they did not.
Yeah, I
I don't think so, I
it's
do
part of
think they
this.
have to have hand washing stations and that sort of thing, but.
Okay,
So I got a couple questions on, under permits, number 6 and number 7. Says a vendor who's been granted a vendor's permit shall locate his temporary operation at a specific location and only at that location is determined by the right committee and the board supervisors. And then it says no permit shall be issued for vendor placement within the 3-mile portion of the official right route immediately preceding the city limits of Libertyville and Fairfield, Iowa. So just so I'm clear on this, if you're within 3 miles of the route, then you can't have you're not gonna be issued a permit?
We are probably not going to issue permits of people just randomly along the route. We're gonna encourage people if they want to do something, set something up, and they want to actually make money from this, if they go in the designated areas that we're providing. Some of that is for the safety of the riders, just in terms of the ride. If somebody has a booth set up and the riders are going along and somebody decides to stop at that booth, it could create a whole domino effect with what's happening. And they probably, instead of stopping, they'll probably just go by instead of stopping and supporting that vendor. So we've been looking at what's the best experience for both the vendor and for the bike riders. And so we have an area, because we are a lunch stop, we have an area that we've designated for that, and that's what we're encouraging everyone to do.
So then on section 5, exceptions, no vendor's permit shall be required for food, services, or merchandise upon previously licensed premises, providing the selling entity is in compliance with Iowa law and is in possession of all necessary permits and or licenses. So who is the party that would have issued the previously licensed premises?
That would be a restaurant.
Like Shokai.
Yeah, like issued by, you know, city of Fairfield, like they're already in existence.
But if a vendor has a license and a home base and has been inspected by the state and is licensed to operate under the state, they accepted from this ordinance.
It would depend on their location. Because just because somebody, for example, a food truck would still have to get a license for a particular location. So even if they want to locate somewhere in Fairfield, they still have to go through the city to have a license for that particular location for that particular day.
So let me ask it a different way then. So what if that vendor has a home base?
Mhm.
Okay, you know, in other words, their physical base of operation is the same place all the time.
Mhm.
So on Tuesday or on a Wednesday or before Ragbri or whatever, they are licensed by the state to operate out of that quote home base as defined by the state of Iowa.
If they have a license to operate and that's their standard operation, then it would be a standard operation for any restaurant, that sort of thing, they would be a standard operation. If they take that operation to a different location, then it becomes a different concept.
Any other questions?
Well, just for the record, I have a problem criminalizing people for not having a permit.
So does this say I can operate out there or can't?
I don't know what it says.
I mean, that's like I'm licensed by the state, and that's our LLC, our corporation, our headquarters. United States government for taxes recognizes it. The health department recognizes it. And you're gonna tell me that I can't be there because they happen to go by my place on a farm to market road that is federally? And are you gonna shut that road down for interstate commerce?
I'm not,
Trucks
no.
and stuff?
No, I'm not.
Because we know that at Brighton, they have a detour. Those trucks from the north cannot get over to Highway 1. They have to come down the Pleasant Plain Road. So are you going to go out here to Grainland and say,
The way I
You
read
can't
this,
bring trucks into
you're
that.
within 3 miles of the. He's within the 3 mile range.
Yeah, so yeah, that would eliminate you completely.
I can't be open?
Unless
you All right. buy
a spot in town.
Why should I buy a spot in town? You're not asking other people to.
Yes, we
Yeah,
are.
yeah, they are.
Yes, we are.
Oh, I'm sorry. This whole thing started Ragbri to interface the people with the community. And you're bringing in 50 food trucks out here where the people swoop on through, eat, and the regular people will not receive the benefit of that.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I want to make sure that we're very, very clear. We want to prioritize local businesses. We want to encourage you to come to our locations.
Then there should be no other food trucks. Make them all eat in our restaurants in town.
Our restaurants can't accommodate 20,000 people coming through town to eat.
You know, part of this is, I see where the Ragbri committee gives back $400,000 or $40,000, something like that. $5,000 to every drive-through community and others. Well, I've done the math on your 20,000 permits. You're $4.5 million as opposed to the 400,000 you're giving back to the state. That seems like, why should I be ruled by an out-of-state, out-of-county, non-tax-paying corporation? And that's what you're doing. You're not taking into account the taxpayers who are here every day.
We are a local organization right now, local organization.
Then the local organization, okay, go ahead.
I would love to, we could talk about this afterwards, because we want to accommodate you and we want to be sure that our local vendors and our local food establishments are benefiting from this.
Well, that is my base of operation, and that's where I'm going to be set up.
Where are you located, sir?
Out towards Cambridge on the Pleasant Plain Road. And part of our thing for being there is so that we can help service Cambridge, who has a lot of traffic going back and forth to town.
Are you there every day?
We are.
Are you set up there every day?
We will be operating every day. We're not right at this period, but we will be. Are you going to close down like the repair stores and stuff that are out there? Hellwigs and stuff, just because they have business there. And somebody pulling a tractor in there could upset a bicyclist who could run into somebody else. So when you're talking about bicycle safety, I think those guys should be able to judge their own actions. They're bicyclists, they should be able to ride a bicycle in a group. If somebody wants to stop, they shouldn't run into them.
Maybe I'm confused. Are an establishment that serves food, you're licensed at a very specific location, correct?
Our base of operations is 1825 Pleasant Plain Road.
So you're like, so compared to like a restaurant that is also stationary in one
Right.
spot and you're licensed there, nobody's gonna be shutting you down.
Well, that's what I'm trying to determine.
No, yeah.
So
no.
I don't need any other licenses besides the ones that I have with the
Right,
state.
the issue is if you're going to be moving your location.
Oh, I'm not
someplace.
moving it. I'm set
So
that
then there's,
we're
so
operating
then,
there.
I'm sorry, there's no problem.
Okay, that's what I want to know about
I
yours.
just, for clarification purposes, it says
He
no
doesn't.
vendor shall operate within
Oh.
3 miles of the city limit.
Oh, so, but you don't operate there every day? You move?
We're a new
locations?
business. I'm opening up. It's licensed. We are in place. I could serve today. I could serve in 20 minutes from now if I choose to.
Oh, and you were also talking about moving your truck to come to the courthouse and
No,
service
no, I'm
people who
not.
were-
I don't want
No,
it. I don't
not
want
for
it.
RAGBRAI, but you were here previously talking about
Your
bringing your
parking
food truck here. for
Yeah, I did
events.
talk about here
Oh,
at one time.
okay.
Yes.
Sorry. Then I
And we
misunderstood.
determined that maybe that wouldn't be the best business model.
I misunderstood. I
But
thought you
yes,
were like a
yes, at
fixed
one time-
location.
We can still move, you know what I
Oh,
mean?
okay.
And we just want to make sure that we're not going to be in any kind of trouble about operating out there on the day that RAGBRAI is going by.
I see. I understand. I misunderstood.
Okay,
But I go back to my question, but by being designated by the state of Iowa, is that's the home base and that they operate there, my question is, can they operate because they're within 3 miles of the city limits of Fairfield?
I think what we're really talking about then is if it's a temporary location or permanent location.
Because by his license, it's a permanent location.
Is that his house?
Yes.
my house, my property, yes.
Just clarifying.
I mean, we've operated other businesses out of there. We had our driving range out there for several years. We had never had any trouble. So it's not like these are new things to us and what our ventures are.
Right? So it seems like you should be okay because that's your base of operation. Correct?
I would say.
I think that there's some additional information and maybe I can meet with you or with Terry as well, because given that you are not a stationary location, that you have a food truck that moves around, that is the issue.
Well, we're licensed as a commercial kitchen, right where we're at. That is our base operation. We can either operate out of that area all the time, or we can move it if we want to. The fact that it's a mobile building is, shouldn't make a difference. And if we build other facilities to go with it, they're also be taxed.
Okay. So if you can follow up and
Yeah,
meet, that'd be
that'd be great.
great. Okay. All right, thank you. Anything else related to this?
Thank you.
Okay, moving on, set date and time for public hearing on vacating Cleaner Street in Abington from Cedar Avenue to Delbert and Mary Ann Mordike property. So another public hearing, so you want June 10th on that one? Or is it timeline? Is it time to?
What's that?
Did we do this last week?
It was set last week, but then we needed to rewrite the legal. It wasn't working, so our office worked with Elizabeth and got the legal straightened out, so now we're ready for it to be set again.
All right. So I'll make a motion, we do this 9 AM, June 10th.
Second.
We have a second in discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Discuss and consider hiring process for ambulance director. I've been talking with Jack and he suggested that we just put the application on the website. And so I just wanted to have that conversation. So, is that okay? He said it really helps us because that way, it can help jumpstart the process. So I'm gonna make a motion that we put our Jefferson County job application on the website. And it's a good thing to have in the future on there anyway, for anybody hiring. That way you can just say, go fill out an application. So,
So I'm a little confused.
mhm.
Okay, so this is just an application?
As we've talked previously, I'm collecting resumes and that, but we have a job application that's, like when you first became a supervisor, you had to do paperwork.
Right.
And so it's filling that job application out. It doesn't mean you have the job.
No, I get that. That's about, my question is that misleading to the person who fills out the job application?
I don't think so because
Fills out the job application, easy for you to say, Susie.
it doesn't mean you have the job.
No, but does that mean that that's all they have to do to be considered for the job?
Not if where we post it, we also say that you have to send a resume. If we have.
I think so. First step is, pardon me, doing the resume, but everybody then will have to fill out an application. So you've got more pertinent information on the applicant.
And part of that is, and I don't know the exact numbers, but I know there's a veterans preference, DD something, that's
DD 214.
that one. That way, if they check that, then, then he'll know that right away, which apparently that's a HR
So
thing, but he says that's helpful to
when we
know.
place, well, okay, I understand all that, but I guess what I'm saying is that, so Joe applies and he fills out the application and
He's not eligible.
214. Is there something on there that says that this is to be included with your resume and sent to?
If we choose to put that on,
Well, but see, they can't upload their resume, can they? Does it just print out the application or is it an application that's fillable online?
I believe it's fillable online and that is,
I don't know.
that's something he's gonna be here Wednesday at the department head.
I would say even if you can't do it online, the application could be mailed to the individual and they can fill it out and mail it back. So it would be combined with the
Right.
resume when the people go to interview these folks.
But I just wanted to make sure that this individual, whomever they may be, that they understand that there might, at least for this particular position.
Yeah.
That there is requirements for a resume, and like you say, so if they've got a veteran's preference or whatever, all of that's fine. I just don't want them to be misled in thinking, and I don't like that word, I should have said misled. I just don't want them to think that's the end of their process right there is that application online.
No, I think it should be the fact that once we get a resume, we send them the application to fill out.
And we say you can go to our website and fill out the application.
Yeah.
Because anywhere it's currently posted, it says we need to send resume.
Right.
All right, all right. I don't know if do we need a motion for prove that officially? I
Now,
put
that's just
discuss and
gonna become a
consider.
policy, right? You're just gonna place,
The hiring process?
Yeah.
That we were just discussing?
Yeah, just, we don't need a motion. We're just gonna, basically all we want to do is put the application on the website.
Do you want, you'd like to make a motion for that maybe? Or no?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we put our Jefferson County job application on the website.
second,
Any more discussion? And to me, that's gonna be helpful in the future for anybody. Any department, because then they can say to any applicant. Also, will make Darcy's job easier too, because they won't, if it's done online, or she can say that. Okay, any more discussion? All in favor? Aye. Okay, discuss and consider combining ambulance director and base manager job descriptions. We've had a lot of discussions. We already approved ambulance director job descriptions. So what we need is a motion to get to, what's the word, delete from our system, the base manager job description.
okay, well, that clarifies it for me, because I thought we had already determined that last week.
Well,
Or the week before.
We had, but a lot of times he'd been in discussions and work sessions and somebody thought it ought to be a motion, so that's a motion.
Okay, did you just make a motion?
Yeah,
So wait, and what was your motion?
we're gonna delete the base manager job description from our system.
Can you repeat that?
Wait a
Shannon?
minute,
No,
I
I
don't
think,
think we
wouldn't you,
can do that yet, because we still have one,
I,
and she's in our
Each time
director.
cops.
I guess I feel you're making a motion to combine both of the job descriptions, therefore negating the prior job descriptions.
Right,
Stop it.
that's a good way. We'll let Susie make the motion. I'll let
You
John.
just did.
I'm gonna second your motion.
Good.
And this has been with, in consultation with our HR, correct?
Yes, we have had multiple discussions here.
Yeah,
And last week, somebody was just wanting us to like formally do that.
okay.
Does that make sense?
Because we need more stuff on the agenda.
Can I ask a question, or is it allowed?
As far as I'm concerned, it is.
Okay, well, the only thing that concerns me about this is that you're advertising for the director position. The base manager position was Judy's prior position. Where's that gonna leave her if you delete her position, if you hire somebody else?
And
Or is
that's,
that the intention, or is it the intention to hire her, or is it the intention to delete her?
I think the intention is to look at the applicants and pick the best one, no matter who it is. But I would say in that specific case, if Ms. Heisel is not, if she is not offered the job, then by all means, she is a very capable
Right.
person in that job field, you know, as far as a paramedic or
She
an
is, she's
EMT.
an excellent
And
paramedic.
she should be given that opportunity as well. Is that okay with you?
Well, we have. Every service has a desperate need for medics,
Absolutely.
and to kick a medic to the curb, figuratively speaking, makes absolutely no sense for the
Yeah, and
people of Jefferson County.
I did not indicate that.
Yeah,
anywhere.
no, I get that, so. But it was the intent all along in the job description that was developed that position would be eliminated.
and what this agenda item does is allow us to have that conversation at this meeting. I know we've had multiple work sessions. So, I'm still not even sure we need any action right now, because I would think the action would be after we hire a director, then we discuss whether we're gonna have a base manager or not.
Well, to kind of
I-
piggyback on Julie's question. I think maybe I misunderstood, which wouldn't be the first time. But I thought that we had already done that, and the job description that we put out there. Because when we had the conversation with Jack's second in command, the question was whether or not we wanted to eliminate the base position before we hired a director. And I clearly made the statement, you don't put a job description out there to hire a director and then say, oh, by the way, we're combining these two jobs. So you're doing it all. They need to know going in that they are going to be
Mhm.
the cat's meow, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think we've been real clear about we're combining with jobs.
I do too, but that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I don't think I think if we do anything less than this, then there's ambiguity in what we mean.
Okay,
So whomever is coming in, whomever that might happen to be, is assuming the role of both positions.
right.
And, and then we go from there. Clearly, she's demonstrated her ability to combine those roles.
Yeah, I don't think we can discuss that right now.
Well, no, but what I'm saying is that based on that, we know that it can be accomplished.
I think the idea was just to have that discussion at an actual meeting, because we've had multiple work sessions.
Right.
You were gonna say something, Jen.
I can't even remember right now, I was listening to you.
All right. So Shannon, where are we in terms of
We are in Fairfield, Iowa today.
I'm not sure about
motions?
that.
I feel like I'm not sure. I thought that you were making the motion to combine them. Well, you were making the
Well,
motion
and then
to
Susie
delete,
had
and then
one.
Susie said to combine. And you said, are you making that motion? And she said, yes, I thought.
Yes.
But
I think you're
Okay.
accurate.
The other two previous job descriptions.
Good job, Sheena.
Okay.
Keeping us in line. We have two babysitters now.
So
I'm just
you
the filler
need a
here.
motion. Do we have a second?
Yeah, decent.
Okay,
Roll call. I'm just kidding.
any more discussion? All right, are you ready to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, number 5, discuss and consider a letter of support for Main Street Fairfield. And at the last week's meeting drafted this, Jefferson County Supervisors, we support the Main Street Fairfield application. This designation will be a positive step to support a vibrant and prosperous downtown area. Also, it will help revitalize the downtown area, which will attract employers and workforce to our community. In addition, it would benefit and increase tourism for Jefferson County. Any changes, or can we approve it?
No, I just had a question for Mindy. This is just for my own benefit, is you and I, as we discussed last week, I think it was, when I was on Area 15, we did a downtown, I can't remember what we called it, it's facade project, which required what I think was a 50% contribution from the business owners. Is this different?
It is different, but it does have some of the same sort of, you can get that grant as a Main Street. There is a more Main Street specific grant, and most of them do have matches. But what Main Street does is it takes care of some of those fees that the business owner may have paid. So specifically some of those initial architectural renderings that cost thousands of dollars, that's paid through Main Street, Iowa. But yes, there is traditionally a match, but they can also help business owners find those matches and grants, so.
So they're not required to comply.
Nope.
I don't like the word
No,
comply.
no, but if you're,
Participate.
yep, if you're in the district and you say, I'm good with what I got right now, and I don't want any of your stuff, you can absolutely do that. Understand that your neighbors are gonna start making their stuff nice, and then they're gonna start giving
Right.
you some peer pressure to maybe step it up.
Just given the economic situation, some businesses may not have the financial wherewithal to step up at this point in time.
Yeah,
I don't know how long this will go on, but.
Yep.
So anyway, I'll make a motion to approve the.
Letter.
I second Lee's motion.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
We don't need to sign this.
I do.
Discuss Jackson Point audit.
Okay, I just wanted to update the board. Chauncey worked hard, working with the audit company, I think it's RSM. And he had mentioned that he thought it would be around $2,000, and we talked about taking it out of the buildings line item. And I think at the time we had about 63,000 when we discussed that, and I don't quote me on the number, but I'm pretty close. But it is going to be $6,000
Okay.
to do the
That doesn't
audit.
surprise me for not.
Right, but we do have to have the audit, and so I don't know if Elizabeth needs to add anything to it. I just wanted to, we've moved forward with it. I just wanted to let the board know that there was a dollar change in the audit for Jackson Point.
For Jackson Point, yes.
Okay, and that's a discuss, so we'll move on, discuss and consider nuisance ordinance.
So I put that on there, I guess. Duh. Because we have, or will, effective June 30th, our contract will expire with Regional Utility Services regarding the handling or the enforcement of our nuisance ordinance. So I think the board at some point between now and June 30th need to, and I think in discussion with Elizabeth, because she's been right at the forefront of this, and we've had discussions about using different methods of compliance. If we want to move forward with the nuisance ordinance, if we want to repeal it, as we're all well aware of, now I don't know Susie is, because she wasn't here, I don't think, when we entered into it, I don't remember.
We're still in high school.
Were you, okay, I think that we did that because we as a board, we're doing a very poor job of enforcement. Basically, it was a random thing.
A little historical perspective, it was pretty subjective, and so we decided one
Right.
year we had like 25 complaints, and it was like, all right, this is a little bit
Outside,
more
right.
outside
The
our
other thing is, in
expertise.
that regard, is as the board has found out through actions of the state legislature, plus having cleaned up some properties
Mhm.
financially, it is an exorbitant cost.
Mhm.
And we have to look at a different direction. And the reason I say that is because you say, well, why isn't the property owner paying it? Just for everybody that might still be online. They are paying it, but we are paying it up front and then recouping it through their property tax, and they can push that out as much as 10 years. So the taxpayers have been on the hook for some significant dollars.
And in this particular instance, there is another route people can go. It's not like
Right.
they're left out.
Yeah, and I will also just point out too, that we've had the experience where maybe there was an abatement that the cost was incurred by the county, it was assessed to their taxes. And then that property then came up for tax sale, and if it's inflated, the cost of the taxes is inflated due to the abatement, then that can impact whether or not someone wants to purchase it at tax sale, et cetera, someone who may be able to clean up the property, so it does have those ripple effects too.
And a perfect example of that would be in East Pleasant Plain. We have a property up there that we cleaned up years ago when Steve Bertmeyer and Dick were still on the board. That property now is in the neighborhood of $30,000 in arrears on property tax. You'll never sell that property. So we just need to consider other options if we're going to leave the ordinance in place. And so I just wanted, we need to put it on the radar as to how we're going to proceed on July 1st.
Procedurally, Elizabeth, is there a process that we need to do? Is this anything that needs a public hearing?
I guess if you're planning on repealing the nuisance ordinance, then yes, but just to consider, alternatives. I don't know if you want to have a work session as well, but.
The only alternative I know of is a civil route by the Iowa state
Yeah.
code, because I know when we started this process, that was the other route. So when I say there's another route, it's neighbor to neighbor. So this would be an example, if we repeal this, it's basically a cost that this county can no longer afford to provide or a service.
And I want to point out that Regional Utility Service Systems did an excellent job, but it
Correct.
they became a victim, if you will, of basically House File 718. I know I've had discussions with Elizabeth. There is, I think it's chapter 657, don't quote me on that
Yeah,
number.
657.
That, and I've always been a proponent of the fact that if you can sell a property in a tax sale, then the county has authority to do other things with that property.
Correct.
The code speaks to that a little bit. So that's a discussion that, that we would have. But we're gonna have to decide how we want to proceed and or if we want to proceed.
Well, I would say since we are looking at a calendar, if this needs to be done by the end of June, probably ought to put something on the agenda for our next meeting to.
Prepare some discussion points, the alternatives, and also I think it does come down to what the county's intent is, They want to take on more properties, and the 657A can be quite a lengthy process, but I believe that there are maybe some other alternatives, and I can look into them and then present those to you at that point.
So when you get ready for that, put it on our agenda, please.
Sure, yeah, absolutely, and just keeping in mind, of course, sometime
need-
in June that we need to get this.
If we need to set a public hearing, the clock is ticking.
Right.
Well, and we wouldn't necessarily, how do I want to say this? Elizabeth, correct me if I'm wrong. There is no drop dead date as far as eliminating or repealing the ordinance. As long as the ordinance is in place, they're still subject to the requirements of the ordinance. All we're changing at this point in time potentially is the enforcement mechanism.
Well, exactly, and I guess I was going off of the date at which Russ's contract expires, which he said was the 30th of June.
Yes,
So just whether or not we want to continue to enforce the nuisance ordinance as it stands, and if we're not going to be using them, how we will go forward, but I imagine those discussions would have to happen before their contract
Yeah.
expired.
Right. Okay. Thank you. Discuss and consider not having supervisor meetings on June 3rd and November 4th, which are days before elections. We usually don't, and I don't
This
know
is how
why.
they want us to fall.
You know, I
She said
think,
you want to put this on the agenda.
I think this would be good to do this for the auditor's office that participates in the elections. I also think the chair should determine based on that, when we have the meetings. You know,
We just didn't know why this is an agenda item when this is what we typically do.
Because she asked me, and I
Yeah.
said, I'll put it on the agenda so the board can,
Okay,
yeah,
that's
and,
why, that's my fault.
and she is very busy, so I think it would help her.
so does anybody want to make a motion not to have?
I would do that. Cause Shannon's staring at me.
I'll second
Temporary
that.
operation?
So no, discuss
I'm not.
to not
No, I'm
have,
just
or a
saying.
motion to not have a supervisor
saying
meeting
it's
on
a
June
permanent
3rd and November
business.
4th.
So I don't think I should.
Motion and second, any more discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Further.
Okay, it's 10 o'clock.
Well,
Wayne?
I mean, I guess.
Discuss and consider Iowa DOT funding agreement for project VRS -C 051, parent 72, parent -60-51, Greenville Road. Bridge over Big Cedar Creek, but I understand this is time sensitive.
That is our grant for the Mill Road Bridge. Which I need the board to authorize me to sign, and then once the auditor signs it, we are official recipients of a grant.
And the reason is good news because we got a grant.
Because we had one of the 10 worst bridges in the state.
Wow.
That was.
Not so sure that's good news.
So how
Well,
much-
the good news is the state had the valuation of the project, they had the project valuation set at $17,000 where it was like $1 million, and I asked them where that number came from, and nobody knew for sure. I said, well, my engineer's estimate's $2.5 million. Can we change that? Oh, yeah, you can change that when you apply. So
So how much is the grant for?
$2 million.
Okay, very good. Good job.
And the estimated cost of the project is $2.5 million. The balance will come out of our annual bridge funds.
Right.
So that none of this actually hits the department books.
I would make a motion to authorize the chair to sign.
Second,
Any more discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
While you're in the same, you also have a right of way work application.
Yeah, well, where's the signing? and this?
Just inside the second page. And please, Dave. Just about got everything final for that to be ready for August bid.
Right, moving on. We have number 6, consider budget reappropriation for medical examiner department, and Shannon, I know you have information for us
Yeah.
about this, and it's because there have been more autopsies.
Yeah.
So we need more money.
Yeah. I'm $1,642.53 short right now to pay the claims that we've received. I'm asking for $10,000 more budget. Not that I know whether I will spend that or not, but that's what I'm asking for, the reappropriation for.
And you thought this would come out of the supervisory budget?
I think it could, because you've had a little bit more, almost 25,000 more in your budget for the ambulance. And now you're not paying for any of the ambulance expenses out of your budget now that you've got the ambulance purchase completed. So I was hoping that we could transfer 10,000 from your department for that service area's budget to the medical examiner budget.
Does that work for everybody?
Yeah,
Can I make a motion?
so moved.
Second.
Any discussion?
So it says, whereas department blank.
Yeah.
So that would be,
That would be the Board of Supervisors.
just want to make sure that everybody knew.
Yep, and then I'd like the amount to be $10,000. And I may not spend all of that, but that's what I think would be a safe amount to get me through the end of the year.
Want me to read this?
Sure, please.
So whereas it is desired to appropriate additional budgets to Department 28 Medical Examiner Service Area 1000 due to a greater number of autopsy witnesses. It's Mindy's fault, claims than anticipated. And whereas the Department and Board of Supervisors Service Area 1000 will not expend the entire budget appropriation. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Supervisors of Jefferson County that a reappropriation of Service Area 1000 in the amount of $10,000 from the Board of Supervisors budget to the Medical Examiner's budget be made.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Shannon.
Thank you.
All right, moving on, committee reports.
I had a quick meeting with Peter last, Tuesday or Wednesday, and, we were just talking about the various things that they would like to do based on the reorganization that may or may not happen, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
Okay.
I do
Anything
believe.
like-
Yeah, I did. Had regular. No, not regular, but had another ECI budget committee meeting on Monday.
Thank you.
So
for
we
that.
finalized budgets, which will be in theory, I guess, approved on today's budget meeting.
You have another meeting today?
Regular meeting, yeah, at 4 p.m.
Good job.
Yeah, okay. Also, attended as we all do, the EMS Advisory Committee meeting on Thursday.
Mhm.
Was a very good discussion. The advisory committee is working hard on our behalf, on behalf of the AMS, behalf of the residents of Jefferson County. So when we discussed the emergency services levy, and then their meeting continued on after we left on other issues. But I just would say I wanted to appreciate everybody that's on the advisory committee.
Yeah, it was a good meeting.
It was, so.
I went out to the Bonneville Cabin event on Saturday. It was really nice.
Did
I
you
was,
eat some pie?
Were you in the pie contest?
they asked me and I'm like, well, I'm gluten-free, so I can't eat that pie.
How'd you do, Lee?
I did well.
He was,
Oh, he
I
didn't go.
had brisket,
I did,
baked beans and,
Before the pie?
yeah, actually I did.
I did see
Did
the
you really go out there?
No,
part
I
of
went
the
I was
pie
gonna
eating
say.
my
contest.
granddaughter's graduation party.
Yeah,
Well, it sounds like Tommy Brower, who works at the radio station, him and his family had a good pie eating day.
yeah.
And he's on a diet, so I don't know how he's doing that.
All right. Do we have our claims? I guess I
I
haven't
see him, I
seen
go
them.
get him.
Yeah, would you please? All right. No, but it was a nice,
Mindy,
nice
Mary
event.
Poppins.
What?
I forgot your umbrella.
Oh, she,
Congratulations.
no, Joe, why'd you do that? I kind of like that. umbrella. I like that.
Oh, come on, you're not gonna melt.
Probably not.
When Susie, when she
Yes.
walked in with that umbrella, I thought of Mary Poppins.
Yeah. Well, I talked to Marcia.
That was just, I came close.
I've been over to Indianapolis to MTG car show.
Thanks, Lee.
In the
We
original
also need to
MTG
let
band
these
and car
sign off.
It
these.
was.
Yeah.
Oh,
Here's
that's
Susan.
good.
Here, those just need to go to Darcy, but we need to go
Oh.
over there. This one's ready.
Everybody sit there on the screen, I thought one comment, maybe I really didn't understand.
You know, sign them.
The Rick, I watched, the All-Star race, NASCAR All-Star race yesterday. The day before, they were running the trucks and stuff. And they had so much rain, they got 4 inches in 2 hours. The tires were floating in the pits. They pour up to their waist in water, and they got that track all redone and cleaned up and ready to go yesterday afternoon for the Open. The amount of water that was there was phenomenal.
Water.
24 hours before that was all that water.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, oh,
they
yes.
were belly flopping in the
Yes, they
water.
were. Actually, were so
They
much.
have an excellent drainage system.
Yeah. I mean, we're talking about tires with rims, you know, and they're floating like bobbers.
All right.
Must have bought some tank cars, huh? Yeah. Call this tank car.
All right, you want to make a motion?
And make a motion to approve claims in the amount of $138,477.73.
All right, I'll second it. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved. Susan, thank you for taking my.
All in favor? Aye.
Lee, come here.
Aye, you too, so we can adjourn. All right. Did you vote to adjourn?
Yes.
All right, thanks, everybody.
I've been screaming about